Today on the Healthful Pursuit podcast, the second kind of sleep type is the waking up at 3 a.m. You're wide awake, middle of the night. You could swear that it's like 8 a.m. and it's ready to wake up time. Usually the root cause of this is blood sugar crashes, cortisol spikes, or a gut liver detox issue. Because the 3 a.m. time is a liver detox time. And so if you're consistently waking up at that time, that's usually when the liver is doing its like deep cleanse. And so that deep cleanse is waking you up. Hey, my name is Leanne, and I'm fascinated with helping women navigate how to eat, move, and care for their bodies. This has taken me on a journey from vegan, keto, high protein to everything in between. I'm a small-town holistic nutritionist turned 3-time international best-selling author turned functional medicine practitioner, offering telemedicine services around the globe to women looking to better their health and stop second-guessing themselves. I'm here to teach you how to wade through the wellness noise to get to the good stuff that'll help you achieve your goals. Whether you're seeking relief from chronic ailments, striving for peak performance, or simply eager to live a more vibrant life, this podcast is your go-to resource for actionable advice and inspiration. Together, we'll uncover the interconnectedness of nutrition, movement, sleep, stress management, and mindset, empowering you to make informed choices that support your unique health journey. Think of it as quality time with your bestie mixed with a little med school so you're empowered at your next doctor visit. Get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn about your body and how to care for it healthfully. Join me as we embrace vitality, reclaim our innate potential, and discover what it truly means to pursue healthfulness. Hello and welcome back. My name is Leanne. I'm a functional medicine practitioner, and I am so excited that we get to hang out today. I want to talk about sleep because women struggle with sleep issues at every single stage of our life, and not many of us realize why we can't stay asleep, why we wake up exhausted, why we feel wired but tired, why we wake up in the middle of the night. And this episode breaks down the root causes of sleep issues and gives actionable steps to fix them. So there's no more guessing and there's no more sleep band-aids. I really want to break this down. So most of the clients that I work with is that there's two camps. One is that we have a hard time falling asleep. And the more common one is we wake up in the middle of the night and can't fall back asleep. And sleep isn't always about how many hours you get. Like, yes, I think that most individuals need at like minimum 6 hours. But if you get 8 hours, but it's poor quality, poor depth of sleep, poor HRV, then you're not fully recovering in your sleep. So it doesn't really matter. So I want to break that piece down a little bit. And if you're struggling to sleep, it's not like this random thing that's happening. It's sort of like if you struggle to get a period and you should be getting a period, it's not just some random thing that's happening. This is a physiological issue and there's a physiological reason behind it. And we're hopefully about to uncover it. So women are more prone to sleep issues than men. Number one reason being our hormones fluctuate throughout the month. Like progesterone promotes deep sleep where estrogen drops, affecting the REM cycles. And when we're in menopause or perimenopause, because we have lower progesterone, we're going to have more sleep disturbances. Like on the days where I forget to take my progesterone that evening, I will notice a difference. And in fact, there are a couple cycles where I'm like, nah, I'm just going to see how I feel not taking the progesterone. And not only does it affect my sleep that cycle, like day by day, but then as I go into the following cycles, like day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, my HRV will be lower overall, having not had the progesterone last cycle. And another reason why women are more prone to sleep issues than men is because we have higher cortisol sensitivity, basically meaning that stress is going to affect our sleep differently than men. Like, gosh, we can be in the most stressful time of life and my husband's head will hit the pillow and he's out. Meanwhile, I'm over here thinking about how this is going to be paid for and how we're going to do this and this over here and how we're going to build, blah, 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 right? And I think our modern lifestyle equals sleep sabotage. Like there's no question about it. Screens are going to delay melatonin release. High cortisol from stress and overthinking and undereating keeps the nervous system in fight or flight. And mold, for example, will lower our HRV and increase our resting heart rate, making our nervous system dysregulated. We have irregular eating patterns, which is going to disrupt circadian rhythms. And it just today's life doesn't tend to support a healthful sleep. So again, the patterns being falling asleep is hard, waking up at like 2 to 3 a.m., not able to fall back asleep. Or I guess another pattern could be sleeping fine, but then waking up exhausted. And that can be a sign of just poor sleep quality. And so it's still a sleep issue. So let's understand the sleep type. So most women fit into one of these categories primarily. So the can't fall asleep type. This is your brain won't shut off at night. This is usually a root cause of too much cortisol and too little melatonin. Now, melatonin is an antioxidant responsible for circadian rhythm management. It regulates motility for your gut, and cortisol and melatonin are inversely related. So when cortisol goes up, melatonin is going to go down. So when it's low, okay, just like what I said, melatonin will be low generally when cortisol is high. And when there's too little melatonin, some of the root causes behind this are gut or immune dysfunctions. So when you're dealing with a low melatonin, high cortisol situation, we want to avoid caffeine and alcohol. We want to eat melatonin boosting foods like oats, banana, tart cherries, walnuts, pineapple, and consume an antioxidant rich diet because melatonin is an antioxidant. We want to manage stress to keep our cortisol in check. So the major thing here is proper sleep hygiene with a digital curfew, like no devices after 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., whatever it is, blue blocking glasses, blackout curtains. I've also seen like glutathione, quercetin, resveratrol, vitamin A, C, E being helpful before you try actual melatonin. Because if your melatonin is low, taking melatonin will help you fall asleep. But if your cortisol is elevated, you're not fixing the problem. Then you have to ask yourself, well, why is my cortisol elevated? Now, if you're super stressed out and going, it could be that. If you're not, and you're like, this isn't making any sense, it could very well be a gut infection. And we've talked about that a ton on the podcast. The second kind of sleep type is the waking up at 3 a.m., you're wide awake, middle of the night. You could swear that it's like 8 a.m. and it's ready to wake up time. Usually the root cause of this is blood sugar crashes, cortisol spikes, or a gut liver detox issue. Because the 3 a.m. time is a liver detox time. And so if you're consistently waking up at that time, that's usually when the liver is doing its like deep cleanse. And so that deep cleanse is waking you up. So this is really common in women who don't eat enough, who intermittent fast too aggressively, or have hormone imbalances. Other symptoms that go along with this are generally night sweats, waking up hungry, digestive issues, especially. Now, the third type is you sleep through the night, you think it's like okay, but you wake up and feel like you didn't even sleep. You feel terrible. And so the root cause of this is low quality sleep, obviously. That could be because your room is too hot, your room is too cold, the air, you're breathing through your mouth, your hair gets stuck, with my hair, how long it is. Sometimes I have bad quality sleep if I don't tie it up before I sleep. I know that sounds ridiculous, but Rapunzel probably had a really hard time sleeping. Lack of deep sleep cycles causes feeling like you just didn't get enough sleep. And the root of all of this is a mitochondrial dysfunction. And mitochondria are dysfunctional because of a lot of reasons. So oftentimes this is a bigger deep dive into what the heck is going on that's causing your body to be downregulated like this. It's super common in women who have nutrient deficiencies, inflammation, and just poor recovery. Like if you're burning the candle at both ends, sometimes you'll sleep through the night. You won't be the type that has a hard time falling asleep or the type that wakes up. It's just like the sleep sucks. You're sleeping, but it's like you didn't even. Are you struggling to eat enough protein every day because everyone's been saying that we need to eat more protein, but you have no idea how you can even get close to 100 grams a day, let alone your weight in protein in grams, and it's just too much? You're not alone, and I found something that makes it much easier. We all know that protein is essential for building muscle, supporting hair, skin, nails, and keeping our metabolism running strong. But let's face it, eating enough whole food protein every day can be tough. That's why I rely on Kion Aminos. Kion Aminos contains all 9 essential amino acids in the perfect ratio to build lean muscle and support recovery. It's more effective than protein alone because it skips the heavy digestion process and gets straight to work in your body. Plus, it's light and easy. Just add it to water and go. Since adding Kion Aminos to my daily routine, I feel stronger, recover faster, and have more energy to tackle my workouts in my busy day. Don't just take my word for it. Try Kion Aminos today and you'll save 20% by using my link, getkion.com/keto. That's getkion.com/KETO and enjoy their risk-free 60-day money-back guarantee. That's getkion.com/keto. So here's some of the details around why you sleep and why you feel tired. So when we wake up, our cortisol should slowly rise and then fall throughout the day. And when we have high evening cortisol because we're pushing too hard, we're getting things done too late in the night. But also a common pattern that I see with individuals with parasitic infections is that their evening cortisol will be elevated, and it's an inflammatory response in the evening. And so if you've ever had a Dutch test, it's a dried urine test, it'll show that last cortisol marker of the evening. If it's high and totally out of whack, that high evening cortisol is going to equal poor sleep. And it's also likely signifying an inflammatory response. In my experience, it's oftentimes parasites. Now, blood sugar is a really interesting one. This is one that I have spent a significant amount of time on myself personally. How I fix this is eating right before bed. Now, that's personally for my constitution. If I eat right before bed, like a piece of fruit and a handful of nuts, I will have the best sleep. I will not wake up at 3 a.m. due to a blood sugar crash. I will sleep. Another type of pattern within this is that we're eating the wrong dinner or we're totally skipping dinner. And so you don't have to eat the same thing for dinner and before bed every night, but I find having the same sort of macro profile. So like last night, it was a really long day yesterday, and I knew that if I didn't sleep before bed, it was going to be messy. So I had an RX bar, a little bit of dairy-free yogurt, and an apple cut up in there with a ton of cinnamon. Oh, I had the best sleep. And my HRV was like 110. So good. And that's how I determine whether or not I had a good, relaxing, repairing sleep. Now, you might find that you don't do well with food in your belly. It's taken me a while to figure out what foods work, what foods don't. And I've really come to know that about myself. And so you just need to trial and figure out what works best for you. Now, when it comes to the liver and detox piece, the women who wake up between 1 and 3, like 2 and 3 mostly, this is often a liver detox issue. And that, in my experience, has been best solved with liver support ongoing, consistently for a while. Okay. So like for myself and my program that I put together for me, I do a couple of liver supports. I take taurine, bile factors to just like the nutrients you need to create bile, and KL support from Cellcore. I take all 3. And choline, I don't take choline in a supplement. I have 3 eggs a day without fail, 3 eggs a day. I know this is like the millionaire's diet because eggs are so expensive right now. But yeah, 3 eggs a day. That's my choline. And that has stopped me from the 2 to 3 a.m. wake up liver situation. And if I have a snack before bed on really hard days, not every day, not every night I need this, but on a really hard day, I'll make sure to have a snack before bed, and that'll really help me sleep. But if it's something super heavy, it'll wake me up. I'll have stomach pains. I'll sleep really bad. So I'm not talking about a ton of food. In my experience, it's like the size of a third of a banana or half of an apple, and a little bit of fat is usually enough for me. Many of my clients respond really well to like a protein stick with a handful of nuts. Nuts seem to be like a really, really great option. Not a whole bunch of them, just like 6 to 8 pecans or almonds, like no more than 8 are needed. So let's talk about some of the routines and processes that you could bring into your life to start setting up your sleep a little bit better. So the evening routine is crucial. Here's a little one that I'm playing around with right now that I've seen huge benefits for. Around 6 p.m., okay, so still a couple of hours before bed, I'll drink like 24 ounces of water, and I'll be sure to add my electrolytes in there. Oh, that works so well for my sleep. And if you're magnesium deficient, making sure that you're having, like you are magnesium deficient. If you are a human living, you need magnesium. I really, really, really love Bioptimizer's magnesium. They do a powder and they do capsules. I take 2 capsules in the morning and 2 capsules at night. That's helped my sleep significantly. And then you want to optimize that routine. So we talked about the electrolytes, magnesium being one of them. You could even do that separate. Cutting out blue light exposure 2 hours before bed. I know this sounds weird, but I really don't notice a difference on this one. I've tried all sorts of, I do not notice a difference. But what I do notice a difference is setting consistent sleep and wake times. That has made a really big difference for my sleep, where my dog will wake me up at 6:30 every morning, regardless. Like I can't get out of that. She's always at my bed, 6:30, nudges me in the ribs without fail. So I know my wake up time is 6:30. And if I close my door, she'll just bark at the door at 6:30. I've tried everything. It just doesn't work. And so if I want a certain amount of sleep, I know that, for me, wind down time is 9 p.m. And that wind down routine usually consists of, lowering the lights, stretching, an Epsom salt bath if I have time for it. I often am by myself, so I don't have to, worry about other, littles, getting them ready for bed and all those things. Your wind down routine could literally be taking a shower and going to bed. It doesn't have to be crazy. And then managing your cortisol levels. Now, this could take a longer time because there's more to it. It's not just, keep mindful of your cortisol. It'll be great. Sometimes you got to work a little bit more at it. So one of the common patterns that I see with cortisol dysregulation is a high free cortisol and a high metabolized cortisol. Symptoms of this is going to be sleep issues, including anxiety, depression, PMS issues, colds and infections, nutrient malabsorption. Usually the root cause of this is stress, obesity, inflammation, blood sugar dysregulation. Basically, the lower the liver's glycogen stores, the greater probability that you will have a cortisol spike. So fasting doesn't help with this process. And that's why eating before bed, especially when you've had a stressful day, is absolutely essential, because those lowering the glycogen is not going to help the sleep at all. And that's why on a ketogenic diet, so many people say, I love keto, but I hate my sleep on keto. Yeah, it's because your liver doesn't have glycogen. So making sure that you prioritize your carbohydrates. That's one of the main reasons, the carb up strategy that I developed, that when I did, I think that was like 2015, everyone was like, wow, that was 10 years ago. Wow. In 2015, everyone said, like, this is crazy. What do you mean carbs on a ketogenic diet? But it really does help sleep because you're replenishing the glycogen stores. Poor liver function is a root cause of this cortisol dysregulation. Certain medications like glucocorticoids will do this. Cushing's, anything to do with the liver or the thyroid rather. And so that's going to be a bigger process of just understanding what's going on with the cortisol, that it's spiking like this. If you've kind of tried everything and it's just not working, I would really encourage you to get a GI map from Diagnostic Solutions to understand what's going on with the gut that is potentially causing this cascade of inflammation, because that's a very, very common thing. When we can't get ahead of our sleep, oftentimes when cortisol is involved, it usually has something to do with some sort of gut situation. If you feel wired at night, like all of a sudden you get that second wind. For me, that second wind comes if I'm not winding down by 9:30, I get this whoosh of second wind. Magnesium glycinate or L-threonate before bed will do this. Breath work will help. any sort of tapping, or sometimes I'll do like the nervous system shake where you just kind of like shake your body all over. Ongoing chiropractic has helped a lot with this and with many of my clients because chiropractic adjustments will adjust your HRV overall. Like we said, that blood sugar balance before bed is essential. Like just eating a small little thing for dinner and then not having something before bed and then wondering why your sleep is all sideways, it's not great. So I would say at least having a balanced meal, around 5, 6, 7, whatever, to stabilize your blood sugar. So that's not the time where I'd be having like white rice and cucumber. Like that's not going to be good. Or the snacks before bed of, like a popsicle that's just pure sugar. That's not going to help. Or ice cream. You can make protein ice cream and a Ninja Creamy, or just blend up some berries in your blender and make like a little sorbet. Like that's going to be far better. If you wake up hungry, let's say, you fall asleep just fine, but then you wake up around 2 or 3 a.m. and you're hungry, collagen and a herbal tea before bed can help. But if this is a consistent issue, it's probably that you're not eating enough. Truly. I mentioned this in a recent episode. The most common health problem I think that exists today is that we're malnourished. Not because like some of us are actually not eating enough, like not eating enough calories, but many of us are eating enough calories, but they're just so lacking in nutrients that it's like we're not even eating. I think most of the listeners of the show probably fall into the first one of that you're just under eating the requirement that is needed to function properly. And that includes sleep. Okay. Fixing your gut and liver for deeper sleep is absolutely essential. So poor digestion is going to equal poor sleep. Any sort of gut infection is going to equal poor sleep. Poor liver function, you're going to be waking up. Usually poor digestion is like a consistent waking up. Usually it's like waking up at midnight and then 2 o'clock and then 3 o'clock and then 4 o'clock. SIBO, food intolerances, all of these things are going to interrupt deep sleep cycles. I recently had a client be put on a round of prednisone, and I was reminded of how much prednisone affects the sleep too. So if that's something you're experiencing, that is a really real thing. And sometimes when you pick up your medication, your pharmacist doesn't tell you. When it comes to just like liver support overall, castor oil packs do a great job. If you have had gallstones and you still have your gallbladder, I would check with your practitioner before you incorporate any sort of castor oil, because that can clear stones and feel not great if they're not super liquefied before. Now, I am not one to suggest sleep supplements. I do carry like a valerian root, holy basil, melatonin gummy for when I'm traveling and I need to like reset my circadian rhythm when I've changed time zones. And I'll do that for a couple of nights to just reset. And I find that that really, really helps for sleep when I'm traveling. But overall, I wouldn't recommend just like going and getting a sleep supplement like high dose 5-HTP or high dose GABA or melatonin. It's all just a Band-Aid. Starting to ask yourself, like, what is at the root cause of this? Is it liver? Is it gut? Is it blood sugar? Okay. Is it stress? Now, the adrenals often don't go sideways on their own. It's not like they just say, can't do this anymore. I'm out. There's usually a root cause under the adrenal stuff. And so, yeah, it does take some time to kind of coordinate what's working and when. But if you haven't tried the electrolyte trick of making sure that you have your packet of electrolytes around 6 p.m., that way you urinate before bed and you're not up a bunch of times peeing. Obviously, not ideal. That's a really, really good one, as is magnesium. Even magnesium on the feet. Like oftentimes we're just low in magnesium and that's why we're not sleeping, and it doesn't have to go deeper than that. Glycine supports deep sleep, and that's why it's really helpful to take collagen before bed. I've tried this myself personally quite a few times. I don't love the way I feel taking collagen right before bed, but many individuals really, really love it. I think my favorite thing, if I'm having a hard time falling asleep, there's this alphabet game, because sometimes my mind is just busy thinking about all the things, and the alphabet game is really fun. So I'll teach you if you haven't heard of it. So you're lying in bed, you can't fall asleep, your brain is busy, you're going to choose a word. Let's go with apple. Okay. Apple ends with E. Now you're going to choose 3 words that end with E. elephant, easy, ecstasy. Then ecstasy ends with a Y. Then you're going to come up with 3 words that end with Y. Yesterday, yes, yellow. Yellow ends with W. Now, see, I'm even falling asleep doing this. It's so great. It just takes all your mind power. You see what I'm saying? Yellow ends with W. Then you're going to choose 3 W words. And you just go over and over and over. I only make it to like 4 runs and then I'm out. So that takes care of the busy mind. Another thing that works really, really well for busy mind is prayer. That's a good one. Oftentimes, like if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll sometimes do the alphabet game, or I'll pray for a friend that comes to mind, or I'll realize I didn't have my snack and I needed it, or I'll realize I need to do my liver support, or that I need to get better at taking my progesterone before bed on cycle days 13 to 25. And with the last pattern of just like waking up not feeling refreshed, my friend, this is generally the bigger pattern of the 3. Like the one where you can't fall asleep, that's usually like pretty quote unquote easy to correct. The waking up at 3 a.m., a little bit harder to correct. But the sleeps but still feels exhausted pattern, that one's harder and it's bigger and there's more to it because it loops in your mitochondria and why they're, imbalanced. And so don't think that you can just take a melatonin supplement and everything will be good. Like it's bigger than that. And so you really need to ask yourself, like, what's going on? And when the sleep got bad, like start to trace back your history and truly understand what's happening. I think too, it's like those situations where when you over focus on something, it actually makes anxiety worse, which then will make your sleep worse. And so if you don't sleep well one night, don't panic. Like don't panic. There's sometimes when I have just really not good sleep. It usually revolves around my dog, to be honest. And she's just pacing or having issues, but sleep improves when stress lowers. So focusing on your overall health is going to be important than all these crazy bedtime hacks. Like some of the stuff I see, I'm like, man, like, can we just get back to the basics of, journaling, gratitude, prayer, just simple things to realign your energy, because when these things are happening, it's so cortisol related generally. And if you've done everything, your sleep routine's on point, and you're not able to make it work, there could be a deeper reason at play, but I don't think it's smart to just use melatonin to patch up the problem. And over time, I've seen those melatonin supplements not work out well in the long run. Did you know dehydration is about more than just water? It's about electrolytes too. Electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium are essential for hydration, energy, and overall health. But most of us are missing the right balance. That's where Element comes in. It's a science-backed electrolyte mix designed to give your body exactly what it needs. I've been using Element daily for years to stay hydrated and energized. Whether I'm at the gym, out hiking, or tackling a busy workday, it keeps me performing at my best. Plus, it's free of added sugar and artificial junk, just the essentials to support hydration. One of my favorite ways to enjoy is mixing the watermelon flavor into sparkling water for a refreshing treat. And for something cozy, I'll add the chocolate salt to hot water. It's like a guilt-free hot cocoa. If you're dealing with headaches, fatigue, or cramps, it might be just the time to rethink your hydration. Element is offering a free sample pack with any purchase. You can try all the flavors out yourself. Go to drinklmnt.com/KDP to claim your free sample pack today. It's a simple and effective way to upgrade your hydration. So a quick recap. We want to figure out what type we are and then fix the root cause, whether it be cortisol, blood sugar, gut, liver, a busy mind, and then building a sleep routine that works for your body. It's not a sleep hack, but just a couple of things you can do to settle yourself. So think, when I'm in bed, what are the biggest worries that I have as I'm laying in bed? Mine is always, did I lock the front door? So Kevin got this app that I can check on my phone if I lock the front door. And so I get in the habit of checking the door before I go to bed. But then also if I'm like, what about the front door? I don't get out of bed. I'll just grab my phone real quick, look and see if the door is locked. I've actually started sleeping with my phone outside of the room, which also helps. So I just settle myself. Another couple of recommendations, a sleep mask, amazing. Making sure that the temperature in the room and just the air quality is the same. So if sometimes you sleep with the window open versus closed, sometimes that can change your quality day to day if there's that change. And that's not always a good thing. Proper filtration in the room. Like if the air quality of your home is not overly great and you have the budget to buy one air filter, I would put that air filter in your bedroom as opposed to anywhere else. Earplugs work so well for deepening sleep, as does making sure that your hair is like tucked away and it's not going to bother you. I know some of these recommendations are just so basic, but what I want you to take away from this is sometimes it can be larger than just a busy mind. If it is a busy mind, it's very easy to address. But if it's something like cortisol dysregulation or that your liver needs support, it's going to take a little bit longer. But a very common pattern I see in women that are under eating is that they have really bad sleep. And so making sure that even if you're under eating through the day, if you can just have a little snack before bed, it can really help you sleep through the night. I truly think that's why when you watch all these videos of women cutting down on their weight, oftentimes they do have a bedtime snack because, oh man, when I'm dieting, when I'm trying to cut down, my sleep really suffers. But that snack right before bed really does the trick. So I hope something that I shared here is helpful for you. I would love to hear what you think, what struggles you have, and make another episode if you feel like that would be beneficial for you. So you can find me on Instagram at Leanne Vogel or send me a message, healthfulpursuit.com/contact. Okay, we'll see you back here next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Healthful Pursuit podcast. Join us next Tuesday for another episode of the show. If you're looking for free resources, there are a couple of places you can go. The first to my blog, healthfulpursuit.com, where you're going to find loads of recipes. The second is a free parasite protocol that I've put together for you that outlines symptoms, testing, and resources to determine whether or not you have a parasite, plus a full protocol to follow to eradicate them from your life if you need to. That's available at healthfulpursuit.com/parasites. And last but certainly not least, a full list of blood work markers to ask your doctor for so that you can get a full picture of your health. You can grab that free resource by going to healthfulpursuit.com/labs. The Healthful Pursuit podcast, including show notes and links, provides information in respect to healthy living, recipes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Healthful Pursuit podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without any representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified health practitioner with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.